retirement, and we're gonna give y'all a chance to say a few words if y'all want to. Y'all wanna roast me a little bit? I know MJ probably wanna say something about it. Anybody?
I'll start since you pointed me out. When I was a rookie, didn't have a lot of friends in the department. I was new from Illinois. I'm not from here. Rick took me under his wing, trained me, gave me a chance when nobody else did. Became my friend and still is. God bless you.
Anybody else?
I'll tell you about the first time I saw him on a motorcycle. We was on a ride, and he's riding his motorcycle. And of course, he's on a Honda, and he can't help that. But he's riding ahead of me, and all of a sudden, he just stands up on his motorcycle. He's riding along, standing up on his motorcycle, and I'm behind him. What are you doing? You know, you think to jump off or what? And I thought about it. I said, he's a good fella. He'll be all right. So he sat back down, and it unnerved us, but we got him on videotape doing it. So he knew what he was doing. That was good.
I love it. Yeah, did nobody bring a Harley for my graduation?
We left them all outside. Brought a picture of one.
Yeah, I said, I've been riding with Rick a few years. We rode out to Nebraska together. Rick's always one for videotaping. He'll be flying by you and with the camera just buzzing right on by you. But he's always pretty safe about it, though. Hope we got many more miles riding together.
Me too. We do.
Yes, sir.
Well, my most favorite memory is of Rick Brown, the Slug. That's what they called him back then, back in the early 90s.
Back in the day.
And yeah, back in the day, I came here undercover, and I always used to hear about the Slug. And then finally I got a chance to meet him. And I worked on the ship one night, and every time that a lieutenant was out back then, they put the sergeant in command. And so Lieutenant Brown, well, it was Sergeant Brown then, would have his slug rules for the night. And I can't remember those some of the rules.
I got a copy of them too.
Oh, you got a copy of them? But anyway, I don't care what night the lieutenant was out, Rick had to call in the whole shift and give his rules for the night. And then he had a list of them, and every boy, and that just went around the department. And another time while I was chief, we was having a problem with people's personal stuff being in the car. And so I said, from now on, everybody take all their stuff out when you get off the ship. Rick said, well, what about my raincoat? And I said, well, Rick, I said, yo, is that your personal stuff? He said, yeah. I said, well, that means you got to take it out. But why can't I leave my raincoat in there? I said, Rick, I don't want it in there. But why can't I leave my raincoat in there? I said, well, it don't supposed to be in there. He said, well, I want to leave my raincoat in there, but that's your personal stuff you got to leave. Well, it just went on and on and on.
I was trying to make a point.
But anyway, I love you, man. You taught me a whole lot. I worked up under you for a lot of years. And I wish you well on your future endeavors. And congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you, sir.
Love you, brother.
Let me say one thing, if you will. My 12 years down here at the City of Lanett, Rick was always the stabilizing force in the police department. Ups and downs, he was always stable. Only one time during 12 years, did Rick ever had to have Rick in my office. It was a trivial thing. Rick probably remembers all about it. He didn't like what I told him. He took a deep breath. Yes, sir. Walked out. We shook hands. Never had another problem. We didn't have a problem then. It was trivial. But at any rate, he was stable. He's been stable all through the years. Lanett is going to miss him as a Lanett citizen. I'm going to miss him. But I want him to be happy and hope whatever he wants to happen will happen for him. Sure do.
Thank you.
I know you
I
got
do
a lot to deal
remember
with,
that.
Rick. Jerry?
Well, you never give politicians a chance to speak. But I started working with Rick when I was with the DA's office, working part-time. I was a prosecutor, and so he and I would work together on presenting his cases in court. And then when I moved up on the bench and others worked with him on presenting cases, I always knew that he was going to know what was going on, that he was going to have his stuff together, that he was prepared. He always wanted to go first because he worked the night before. He was ready to go so he could get some sleep. But I mean, you need that sleep when you work at night. So, but he was always straight up. I always had good faith about what he was telling me was the truth. best that he could recall it. He wasn't making up something just to make a case or get by, and his integrity is something that, I agree with Mr. Bobby, his integrity is something that will be his legacy as he leaves the police department. He'll be hard to replace.
Thank you. Anybody else? Charles?
I'll say a little something about my old buddy over there. And I'm gonna tell you, he scared me whenever he stood up on his motorcycle too. We was in the middle of nowhere, and I didn't know how I was gonna pick him up, much less his bike. But I remember Rick. I was in law enforcement back when he began, and I always thought a lot of him, and I always found him to be a straightforward guy. He'd tell you what he thinks, that's for sure. But as I moved on and was in the court system for years, I never had any questions. Never heard any questions about any of the cases he made, any of the tickets he wrote. They were always just right, like they're supposed to be. And I'm so proud of you and proud for what you've given to this area, Rick. And one thing I remember about him, and I didn't understand how he could police a full shift and then stay up all night long or all day long with him and his little dog down at the radio station. But he loved music so much and loved radio so much, he volunteered and sat down there all night long when he was off, and then during the days whenever he's finishing shifts and all, and just giving back to folks in this area. And I appreciate what you've given, a sacrifice of your life to protect folks in this area, and I know they appreciate it very much.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else?
I want to say something, Rick.
Come on, Earl Cofield.
This is kind of comical, but it's true. Back several years ago, probably 10 years ago, a bunch of us was out riding bikes, and we was coming down Highway 50, and a police car pulled in behind us. And of course, when you see a police car, you know you're going to try to follow the speed limit anyway. Well, Rick pulls the light on, and I'm saying, what's that police doing stopping us? So he pulls in behind us, talked to us a minute, and we talked, became friends, and he started riding with us, and we rode for several years. We've been out in Texas and Louisiana and the Carolinas and Tennessee. We and everywhere together. And Rick's always been a loyal friend. He did business with me when I had my business. He was always straight as they come. And I just want to say I appreciate you, Rick, and I love you, man.
Okay. Love you, bud. Appreciate it.
Anybody else?
Yeah, you people that ride them Harleys, they don't understand, Rick. How you just stand up and cool you back in, dog. You sit back there and you're good for another 100 miles.
It amazes everybody, especially the little ladies in the car next to me.
We're gonna miss you in dispatch. Reckon.
That's my signature and word record.
Reckon.
There you go.
Yeah, the mumbling.
Y'all speak now or forever hold the peace.
Love you, man.
Love you too.
All right. I have a proclamation here recognizing years of service that Rick has given to this city. I just want to say before I read it, though, I've been with the city now, I guess, for 9 years, and me and Rick get along just fine. I ain't never had he ain't never arrested me either.
And I compliment you on your truck.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he likes my old truck. I have a 72 Chevrolet truck. But Rick has been a good officer for the city. I haven't had any complaints on Rick. If I hadn't had anybody to call me and say Rick was unkind to him or mean to him, anything like that. So I want to thank you for that, Rick, because I get enough calls as it is. So you saved me there.
You're welcome.
This is a proclamation from the office of the mayor. Richard J. Brown, the City of Lynette Mayor and Council would like to recognize and congratulate Richard J. Brown for over 25 years of service. It's an outstanding day to honor your dedication and accomplishment in our community. Congratulations and best wishes. Signed, Oscar Crowley, Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
And now it's my turn.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
This is a plaque presented to Lieutenant Richard Rick Brown for 25 years of dedicated service to the city and citizens of Lynette, 1989 to 2014.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Now, Rick, you get to say something you want to.
Well, I don't know if everybody knows my story, and I'm not going to give you the whole background and everything, but
You got to tell us how you started, though.
yeah, yeah, I'm going to. I left my girlfriend, ended up being my first wife, Rosa, about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was headed home, still in with Mom, Billy, and there was a police car sitting in the parking lot over here. And for some reason, you know, for many years when I told the story, I said, I don't know what made me pull up next to it, but now I say God, because he had a purpose for me. And I pulled up next to him and didn't know him from Adam's house yet. And we sat there and talked, and it amazed me that he was talking to me like a friend instead of me, big bad police, you little peon citizen. And I'm thinking there's something wrong with the boy, because he's being nice. And then I noticed he had a big boom box, I think it was about this big, in the passenger seat. And he was recording rock and roll music off Rock 103 on the cassette. And I'm saying, he is messed up. Because he's supposed to be a robot. He's supposed to be after me no matter what I'm doing. We talked for a while, and then 2 more officers pulled up. He introduced me to them. We just started having a good time. We were telling jokes, and they were all younger than me. Well, next thing you knew, I was riding with them because we had a ride-along program then. And they put me with Brian Poe, and he was just happy to be here. He had just got hired. He hadn't even been in the academy yet. And so I rode with him. He showed me all the toys in the patrol car. And he said, look at that car in front of us. I'm looking. He said, watch this. I'm watching. He gets his mic. He runs the tag, and it comes back over the radio what kind of car it was. And I was like, wow. And he looks at me and goes, he was just glad to be there, okay? And he told me about the reserve program. I got on the reserves, and I had to get my GED, and I did that because I figured I'd like to do this one day. And I was working at the concrete company in LaGrange after doing reserves for about 14 months. And I answered the phone when it rang because I was working in the office. And I'll never forget it. They said, I need to speak to Rick Brown. And I knew who it was. Hey, Chief, this is Rick. And as long as I live, I'll never forget his next word. You still want a damn job? I said, yes, sir. And he said he was going to give me a chance. And he asked me if I wanted to work a notice at the concrete company. And they were good to me, so I gave them a 2-week notice. And I started May 3rd, 1989. And glad to be here. Glad to leave, too. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. I've seen a lot in 25 years. I've seen some things that can be corrected, and I've seen, things that can't be corrected.
Let them know about the bike ride, the bike ride to the Arctic Circle.
What's that?
Let them know about the bike ride to the Antarctic Circle.
Oh yeah, go away to the Arctic Circle. I got pictures, slugster.com if you want to see. And yeah, 10,063 mile round trip. I took 2 weeks off to do that ride.
Yep. And you had something hidden in your saddlebag.
I did. We don't want to talk about it.
We're on video.
Yeah. But I've had a good time here. I've met a lot of people. Half of them I can't remember their name or even more, but I remember their faces. And sometimes I'll be talking to somebody, an inspector, and in the back of my head I'm like, did I arrest them one time? Because how do they know? But they remember me because I'm one person. And everybody expects you to. I had a lady pull up next to me in front of a Hoover school today, talking about something, and I'm like, okay. And sometimes I play along and maybe she'll say something that I will trigger a memory. But this might be something happened 15 years ago, and they remember it like it was yesterday, and I don't. But
Is that what it is? But I've seen a lot of officers come through here. Don't know where most of them are now. Ben Brown, you was here from the get-go. In fact, you were the lieutenant I had to sign the waiver for on the ride.
Yes.
Now, by the way,
Come on up here.
the police officer I stopped and talked to that made all this possible was Ricky Billings.
Right.
And he had to leave, so I was gonna call him out, but he had to go, but I appreciate him coming. But your husband, he's awesome. It's all, you know, everybody that I've arrested, everybody that I've stopped, DUIs, whatever like that, you know, I'm pretty sure out of all of it, I saved at least one life by getting some out the road.
Right.
And all the stuff that I've done would never happen. That Ricky,
Ricky's told me the whole story.
That's good.
I said I wasn't gonna do this.
That's probably why he left.
It's working
But-
out. Come on up, Ben Brown. Where you at?
Here's Ben, come on.
You got to say something about it.
The slug, y'all put me in a bad position here. I have really enjoyed working with him. I think I was lieutenant when he was hired. I worked with him in the reserve program. He was gung-ho after being a police officer, working law enforcement, and I guess he's proved that now. The proof's in the pudding. He has done a great job for the city of Lynette and law enforcement. He works good with other agencies. There's not enough. I just thank the Lord Jesus Christ for blessing us with Rick and blessing the city of Lynette the way he has blessed us over the years, because we have come a long way. There's been a lot of progress made. As I can remember when I first started working law enforcement in I ain't gonna tell you. My intention was not to stay at Lynette. It was to go to work with the state, and because they had the more benefits, and you know Lynette was just way down here. And Lord and behold, Lynette started climbing up. We got getting benefits, better insurance, which no insurance is good anymore, I guess, you know. And we started getting state retirement and new city hall, and things just kept getting better and better. And Lynette become a better place for me to work at than anywhere else in the state that I think of. And I spent my whole career at Lynette. Because Lynette has been good to me, and I've been good to them. Because I have made mistakes where they should take me out back and whip my butt, and they didn't. They just scolded me good. But Lynette has been good to me, and I know they've been good to Slug. And that's all I know to say. God bless y'all.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Anybody else? If not, we'll start eating.
It's 2:30. We've been here for an hour. It's 2:30.
You were last night? You bless your heart. All right, let's eat.
Rick, you gonna be first?
Sure, I'm not shy.
And we'll get you a plate.
You gonna cut that cake?
I'm gonna cut this cake.
We'll do that, and then I'll shut this down. I forgot you're left-handed.
Yes, I am.
That's all right. I got it.
That's it.
I think he's ambidextrous, is what I see.
You can stop.
Okay.